What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Creator Pro Show. Today's episode is a very special one. We're here with the one and only OG Canadian YouTuber, Michael Mcrudden. He's actually one of the biggest here in Canada, took over Hollywood straight out of Toronto, and a lot of you guys will recognize him. He's got a lot to share. He's currently a college professor sharing his wisdom on YouTube and all the secrets. And today we're going to bring you directly from the horse's mouth all the secrets, all the ins and outs, and we hope that you are going to enjoy the show. So, wow. Michael, how you doing?
Thank you. That was probably one of the best intros I've had, so thank you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I've done a few intros for other people in my day, so that I really know when someone's put in some work and some research. I appreciate it.
You're wicked. Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of hours on your content. You have tons of video out there. And give us a little bit of your history, your background. What do you do? How did you get onto YouTube? And, what brought you out here to before they were famous?
Yeah. Oh, man. Short and sweet. I thought YouTube was the end, and I didn't know it was just the beginning. Growing up, I was doing the child acting and writing my own shows and trying to be a Much Music host and all the typical things you do, wanting to be in entertainment. And then I remember taking a job on YouTube for like $20. And I was like, oh, my God, this is how... this is where it ends. This is going to be something I'm embarrassed to watch or people to see. And then as that job progressed, I started thinking like, these will be my before they were famous clips. Like someone will look back and see how I evolved. And through being that and seeing the space and seeing the opportunity that was online, like I knew, oh my God, a revolution is coming. TV is going to become YouTube. I got more analytics than they do. So then before they were famous became one of the biggest series. I made multiple channels, multiple series, but it was the kind of the monarchy or the brand that everyone really resonated with. And it launched me to fame talking about famous people.
And you know what? You got crazy videos that are like 10 million views and 3.6 million subscribers, which is incredible because a lot of us only dream of those numbers. There's so many people I see, young people, older people now. I mean, you realize YouTube was a big thing back in the day. How long ago was that?
2015.
See, that's ahead of the curve because now everyone knows that it's a thing and every person is trying. A lot of the business owners, real estate agents, but those guys are focused more on business where you have other creators that are actively trying to get even a fraction of those numbers. And it's very difficult. So you have something there that not a lot of people can achieve. Kudos to you. We want to get into it and find out exactly what got you to those numbers. And you said you did child acting. Can we get a little bit of where we would have seen you?
Yeah, I had bit parts like in the Santa Claus, RoboCop, the TV series.
Santa Claus, the movie?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I got a line in there.
What? That's crazy.
Wicked. And then PlayStation, I was in their commercial. So like I was the guy at school getting all this, yo, I saw you on TV, right? So that started solidifying, oh, this means something to people. And my sister was into act. She was like on the cereal boxes and stuff. So my mom was like a model back in Ireland. So she got us into all this stuff young, but the notoriety, the just people stopping you and like being jealous. I was like, oh, that's probably something I'd want to do. And I know it's vain and whatnot. But I was like, why? Like people, you should be able to become a TV host. Like they make college programs to be a broadcaster. Like I know the odds are against me, but I'm gonna go for the career of an entertainer. And then Jim Carrey had made it out of Canada, so he was always like just my obsession that it's possible. And he's a big believer in manifestation. And I swear, I think just idolizing him and like never giving up, because this show didn't launch till I was 30. But I never gave up. Everyone always like, this guy's going to be famous. And look what it turned into. Like it's literally in the brand that I built.
Well, I mean, you're a good looking dude. So I can see you're halfway there. And then it was easy because your mom was already in the industry and she kind of knew how to get you in. I think back in the day, you had to get like an agency. And like nowadays, it's like anyone picks up a phone. It's much easier because you can just get on YouTube, social media. And it's much easier to get your voice and face out. When you did it, it was like a mountain to climb. So kudos to you. And I didn't know you had all of those acting. Like I found some of them, but I didn't know you were in Santa Claus and a bunch of other things. Yeah. So that's really cool. Is it true that you did a commercial for a sex chat chat line?
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
buddy. Anything that pays the bills when you're an actor.
Well, those were really popular too. I remember as a kid when you would stay awake a little bit longer on the TV, you would see all those ads come up. So like they had a big budget back then. They were killing it. Now it's like you find people on social media, Tinder, this, that. Back then, it was a whole different ballgame.
Buddy, I don't know what kind. I thank you for calling me a good-looking guy. I've looked bad sometimes. Sometimes I can clean up all right. But whatever it was about me, I was in a slasher movie playing porn star number 2. What? Like I'm typecast as like kind of greasy, like sexy.
How did you get all these gigs? Is it through the agency, through a portfolio? Like,
typically it was before YouTube 2015. Everything was the traditional agents. Auditions. Yeah.
So a lot of legwork, a lot of time auditioning, calling things back.
The worst is the waiting.
Yeah.
The waiting, like the best thing that social media fills is like you have something to do while you're waiting for an opportunity. So it was a lot of going to auditions, waiting, and rejection. And I think I like did the math. I did like 2,000 auditions, and my batting average was like 1 in 100. So
good.
So instead of auditions, like now it's like producing the content. How hard was it to transition to filming yourself while having to do all of the on-camera stuff?
Yeah, right. So like once I realized this was legitimately the path forward, I knew I thought 3 years at the time, but it was about a 5-year head start. But then I had gone to university and college for all this film production, script writing, all this, the traditional way of doing things. So I had to really, and it took time to rework my brain going, this is the starting point. So forget the 3 months of script writing. Let's do it in 30 minutes. How do I someone's like, oh, I can only edit. I'm like, you're going to learn how to do me graphics as well. How do I break up, like there's like 30 jobs on a film set. We only got the budget for 3 jobs. So you're not only a writer, you're a host. You're not only the cameraman, you're the editor. Like, you know what I mean? I had to like break everything down into a micro version. And some of the content we produce would be like a little cringy, but I'm looking at these platforms don't care about Critics' Choice Awards. They don't care about the Oscars. They care about watch time and clicks. So once you start like playing the game, because this is the new way it's going to be played, then you start to see the results.
I find that watch time's more of a newer thing, would you say? Like, was it as important before to like have a really high watch time, like when you were first blowing up?
So I think and then a testament to all that education and stuff, not that I'm knocking it, but it gave me another leg up that I knew how to structure a story with a hook and an intro and teasing coming up. Like I knew all that integrally from the traditional world. So that I was there before I had to even like look at the analytics. My brain was already thinking like this is a TV show.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually, like I think like 2019, 2020, I'm like, okay, it's getting tough. Let's turn to the analytics to figure out how to keep up.
Next level.
Yeah. And we're first of all, I just want to say a side note. We're blessed to be here in your studio to do this show. It's a special episode. We had to step out, come to join you. It's really interesting to see your whole process because you're actually one of those guys who's educated, then put it to use, then reached the ultimate goal of multi-million subscribers, and now you're actually teaching it. So have you considered like coaching or going into further? Because a lot of people, what the knowledge you have and the experience you have is pretty golden. It's worth more than money these days because, you know, attention is the new oil, right?
The new currency.
Yeah. So would there be any plans of coaching maybe in the future for you guys?
Yeah, it's been discussed and I've dabbled in it. The thing is, I found that once I've taken that on, it becomes 20% of my work week, right? And it's like, it's hard. Like now that I'm doing the college thing, I'd say that's 50% of my focus and time. And I like adding another thing or running another business is like, once you do that, something else falls or gets weaker. So I've been through years in my career where I spread myself way too thin. Like I'll never have 12 employees again. It was too much. I had a studio in Toronto. We're now in my house in Hamilton. Much smoother. I get out of bed, I do my hair, I come film. It's made my life a lot less stressful. So I guess it's just about like how much can I take on? And my plate's still pretty full.
Okay. Well, this episode is going to be mostly for people who want to learn a bit more of your ins and outs and how you got into this. Let's get into like the hooky stuff. What is the most amount of money you've made in 1 month off of YouTube? Because I think that will grab the attention and get us to kind of segue into how you got there.
Yeah, and it's a great question, and I'm totally open to share with you. it's also just on your point, teasing it a little more.
Okay.
When I started, I was like, this PewDiePie guy's making $1 million a month, right?
Yeah.
So I had no gauge on like, oh, I made 50K this month. Like, is that good?
It's amazing.
Well, so I'd say that would be like the average. The best months were always 100K, but I never had like a 200K month. It'd be like 100, maybe 120, probably the most I made,
Which is still
but
incredible.
consistently,
In ad revenue.
and just ad revenue. Yeah.
That's the most wildest part is like you see people hitting the $1 million months, but like that's more so with businesses included. Like you see it with Mr. Beast now. Like there's only so much budget for advertising. You have to include the businesses to make it happen.
Yeah, and I was always like, okay, if I can make 100K a month, how do I get it to 200K? But I wasn't. Maybe I was so immersed in what I was doing, and I couldn't sell T-shirts for the life of me. I didn't even know what Shopify was.
Yeah.
And I was really everyone that I surrounded myself with. I was the go-getter, the entrepreneur. So no one was kind of sharing their knowledge with me. So that's why I could get past that hump. But the fact that I made something that lasted 10 years, that's
huge.
You know, that's like The Simpsons. Like nothing lasts that long.
Yeah, that's
for
pretty
sure.
massive. And you know what? That's a very common trend nowadays because everyone will jump into social media. And just like you said, unfortunately, they have to play all the roles because you can't start off and have a producer, a director, a camera guy, an editor. Like it's impossible for you to start off a whole corporation, a whole production crew. So you have to kind of either adapt to yourself and you'll be good at certain things and not so good at others. Like when I started, I was making great skits. It was getting a lot of attention, a lot of views, but I wasn't monetizing it. I wasn't pushing it into a funnel. And only recently with Cam, now that we're joining efforts, we're kind of check marking the boxes like step by step. This is what you need to be doing to convert this flow of traffic. I was getting a flow of traffic and then block.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the first video or the thing that kind of launched you, because you must have had that one step. We all have that aha moment where it's like, boom.
Yeah. It's okay. So, and then while I'm building this show, I was still working for someone else, that job that got me into this crazy world, right? So I'd be making similar videos with them and then doing a before they were famous on the topic. The one that launched me to fame was Mia Khalifa. Mia Khalifa before they were famous, right?
Interesting.
But I dropped like a top 5 on her on this channel, 10,000 views,
Wait, when was this?
2015.
Okay.
I dropped this video I make on her on this channel, right? And then something was going on. I think it was like a wedding or I had somewhere to go. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to take this video that didn't do so well. I'm going to put it on my show where I'm getting some real traction, but I'll add a different intro. I'll add a different thumbnail. I'll make it more for here. And I dropped that video, 10K here, boom, 12 million views in a weekend. Because my algorithm over here was like more male centric, more kind of, guys that related to me. It was like the perfect audience for Mia Khalifa. And it got so big, then she tweeted it out. She hit me with some jabs, like she was going to give me death threats because at the time she was getting them. And that only just snowballed it even further. But yeah, 12 million views in a weekend. I saw the potential of the YouTube algorithm, what it's like to hit trending. And that video alone was 50K or more. Yeah.
That's very interesting because like we talk about all this stuff. It's like some channels, we look at the analytics, we look at the insights, and you've got a certain demographic, age, female, male, all this stuff. And then on other channels where I look at some of my colleagues and they have a whole different type of kind of insights. And it makes you wonder if the type of content that you're creating could become viral on one account, but completely die on the other. And this is where when we collaborate, we see sometimes it does really well, sometimes it doesn't. And like, this is what we're learning now. So tell us a little bit about exactly that. Is like, what have you learned throughout the process that makes your YouTube videos kind of hit versus flop? What are like the top 3 things you would say?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it. And like, I've lived so many different lives and years and variations of the channel. But community is certainly the most important. And it's almost easier to manage at 100,000 followers than it is at 1 million followers. I don't know. Sometimes they say hitting trending's a curse because it opens you up to this huge pool of people that you can't really understand where they're coming from, or it's just too big, too much, too fast. But then Mr. Beast can handle that perfectly. So who knows what's the best option? But maintaining a really strong community, knowing your niche, finding a niche within that niche. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so realtor's your niche, but the Persian niche is also like your territory. And I think that is kind of where you want to live, and that's the community you want to foster. And anything that hits in that area, it connects with them. You make the great content for it, and you kind of stay in a place that you feel comfortable, loved. People follow you for that reason. I think that's just like how you navigate.
Yeah, so niching is very important. Yeah.
And do you think like yourself, like you launched a show, what took more of the attention? Was it the show that got big, or was it more of a personal brand that you found you were building?
That's tough, right? Because I thought it was more the brand, but I think looking back, it was definitely like probably 70 me, 30 the brand. Like if other people hosted the show, it didn't do
as
very well. It could occasionally, but I had to stay as the anchor. Like I took a year off. I had younger people hosting it, and the show wasn't so hot. And people, the stars would be like, yo, what is this? I want to see the guy. You know, the guy with the hair, the guy that talks like that. And it just didn't feel, the audience felt cheated because the Before They Were Famous guy wasn't doing it. So you know what? Because I had such a story to tell and I'd been through so much trying to make it in entertainment, I would drop tidbits of that in each episode. So there was a loyal community about me. People were really rooting for me. And, you know, I think just lots were happening so fast. I'm not the type of guy to like take too much credit or think I'm like, you know, I don't like, I just took it all. I've been doing this forever. Of course it's going to work eventually, but I didn't really like get like obsessed with myself and like, I try to share it rather than.
Do you think you being more of an animated person, being a loudspeaker, like helps? Because I find like a lot of the people that take it over, they're quiet, like they don't have the energy that really you need to do to make yourself stand out on camera.
In the era I came in, I knew that YouTubers were crazy, sketchy, and like YouTube wasn't established. It was kind of laughed at. So they were over amplifying to kind of compensate to get people to keep watching. But now YouTube's like television. I wouldn't say being that kind of character is to your benefit. But when I was getting going and making my videos look legit, the more amplified I was, gave me some legitimacy. But now I'd probably like, it's better to just be a normal person.
What's like, because going through your videos, you've met a lot of famous people. You've been to a lot of parties. You've been to the Super Bowl parties. You've kind of brushed shoulders with some of the biggest guys or girls. Who's the most famous person you've ever met? Or like the one that you got starstruck, I would say.
Well, I met Jim Carrey.
Oh, okay. So that's your idol, right?
Yeah.
That was a full 360 moment, probably.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So how was that conversation? Because Jim Carrey is a very interesting character, especially now because he's like gone a bit woke. But he's very interesting to watch and also to listen to because he's got these crazy ideas just spewing out of him with no control. And a lot of it is like very informative.
Did he know who you were before he met you two?
I honestly, like, I only got on Twitter to like tweet at Jim Carrey when I was 14. So I'd put out enough manifestation and enough like, I just read your book. Oh, I love Jim Carrey movies. Oh my God, he should work with so-and-so. I think, you know, like me becoming someone and having Twitter, when people keep talking about you, you kind of like take the time to look at their profile. So and then like I'd won a contest impersonating him. So and then I'd interviewed his sister. So I'd done enough things that I'm sure he knew who I was.
Yeah.
But he just, man, he just beamed like emotion. Like he was just, I guess, I don't know. I was there. I was so nervous to meet him at the time. I was like living in my car because I was on the set of one of his movies. We were sleeping in our car because couldn't afford much. And you could just tell he like had that empathy. Whatever I was feeling at the time, he just like emoted like, it's all good, bro.
So you met him on set.
And
We went to a bar for the World Series.
Oh, so you chilled with him for a while.
I wouldn't say I chilled with him, but I was in a group of 30. Yeah.
That's still amazing.
I've watched some of his like Netflix shows. Like, is he the same person off camera that he is on camera almost? Because in all of those behind the scenes, like he's really animated and he's like his character in real life.
No, he is. He is that and more. He walks by a TV and he pretends it sucks him in.
Yeah.
He's experimenting. Oh, will this be good for a scene? But then he's also like a super cool dude and he loves his clothes and he loves his ladies. And
Interesting.
I'd say a creative genius. He knows his crafts and he takes it like, they were like, yo, can you fake this shot? Like sit forward. And he, absolutely not. All of a sudden 50 people come out of everywhere in the set and they all have to move that 2 inches because he's not going to do it. But like having the cojones to like, I'm not going to cheat it for you. I'm the star, and rightfully so, he is.
You know what I noticed is a lot of people who do well with acting or content or whatever are those who let their inner child really show. The ones that keep their imaginations going, because you need to be larger than life to create like an influence or to create a show or to be a character who's being watched. And Jim Carrey is definitely like the prime example of that. I kind of adapt a little bit of that too. I'm not afraid, especially going in with a business approach. People are like, realtors shouldn't be making these funny ads or whatever, or dressing up or whatever. But I don't care. I just, like I say, I make content for your inner child. And you may judge it on the outside, but on the inside, you're laughing with me.
I've watched a lot of your content and I've been taken back, because then I go to see like your real persona or your work persona, and I'm like, wow, kudos to this guy for putting it out there. But also, what an amazing time to live in, where you can actually
do both.
If that's inside you and you always knew it, like now you have a place to show it.
Yeah, it's true. And, at first I thought it was going to hurt my business, but then I let it go and people were just attracted to the authenticity.
Super attracted. I got to meet this guy.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Would you say like,
and one more thing on that, like letting your guard down. These business guys are probably like, oh, I've killed it in money and killed it all this stuff. But like a new generation of kids are out there, and like if you're not relatable on your Instagram, you're an old geezer to them now. Like you're gonna have new kids coming up who hopefully can afford a house, and they're gonna be like, man, you really did something that meant something to me. I want to work with you.
But it's also the bigger brands too are now shifting their approach, because back in the day it was like spend millions of dollars developing a 30-second ad that went for like 2 years. Now it's like shelf life is so short. It's a reel, people watch it, it's 30 seconds, they move on to the next. And it's like, where's your new ad? Where's your new thing? And then a lot of these companies are actually reaching out to micro influencers and being like, can you guys help us out? So this is where your knowledge comes in, because it's like, how do we stay on top of mind with constant content? And if you look at like Nike, or if you look, they do a good job at branding, I think, but they don't do a good job at creating a personal touch with their audience, where they're not putting a face, they're not constantly creating different
old
ads.
school branding. Like that's why Mr. Beast like jumped into the chocolate business, because nobody did it differently. Like Hershey's is like the biggest chocolate company. He's like, how can I disrupt an industry? That's what he's hopped into, and he's like actually disrupting one of the biggest industries and competing with a Hershey's and all the other different chocolate bars. Same with like Prime and Gatorade.
Yeah, there's a huge opportunity right now with like an open vacuum where the new generation can come in and just disturb everything. Yeah,
I know. And if Mr. Beast, he already is successful, but like, what did Hershey's started with the chocolate bar, and then how many variations of that before they became cereal, oatmeal, a whole line of stuff. And I'm sure that's in Mr. Beast's foreseeable future. Yeah, you want to, I'm always thinking about a consumable product. And then beer was like my favorite thing, but I stopped drinking. So I'm like, but non-alcohol beers,
that's a cool trend.
trending up. So that would be the product I'd be pushing. But anyway.
Yeah, and that's even changing too, because when I was growing up, I remember it was like all the harsh beers. Then the light beers were like, no, men don't drink that. Now since Coors Light came out and started branding and advertising like crazy, everybody shifted over to Coors Light, and all the light beers came out. Then now Michelob Ultra is like super light. And then you're right, now there's a shift to like non-alcoholic, which is because we're living through like a health conscious kind of
Super
era.
health,
Yeah.
But also consuming content on the daily. They've squeezed out those days off. Now, it might not be the most stressful job because you're making fun stuff, but you can't really have a hangover and film a video, right?
That's true. That's true. Tell us a little bit why you didn't take the plunge and move over to Hollywood or LA, because I think a lot of people think that way. They either go to New York or they go to LA to get closer to that Hollywood.
Totally. The offer was there. It came a little early for me. 2018. I'm getting nervous. My throat cracked. Now, so the offer came a little early. It came in 2018. I was still just figuring out my like I was still pitching myself. This is happening, right? And you want to put away a nest egg because you want to set yourself up for the future. And going there was like, all right, now I got to pay LA rent. I got to get an LA studio. Half the time these kids aren't working; they're networking, and I wasn't that guy. I'm like 30 plus. I want to build my future. So I think it just And you know what? I was also there having meetings under the Hollywood Hills. And I'm like, 3 years ago, I could have been sleeping in my car. Like, this is all, it was just like daunting to me. Like, I can't believe I went from I can't get a job in Toronto to I'm taking over Hollywood. I couldn't, it didn't feel right. Like, it just like, this can't be happening. So and then, you know, I took some time to think about it. And it wasn't long before COVID hit. And then I was kind of stuck where I was.
What was the offer exactly, if you don't mind us asking?
Yeah, it was a purchase, a merger or whatever. They're an acquisition of the company. I would still maintain 50% ownership, or maybe 49%. Like, they were the my bosses.
Do you think a lot of YouTubers are set up that way? Like a lot of the more
Like,
successful
I know,
ones?
like Nelk's got a bunch of investors. FaZe Clan's got the biggest. I think they took the CEO of Capitol Records and built. They plugged in all that Hollywood infrastructure. David Dobrik, whoever his manager is one of the best sales guys in the business. Logan Paul's got his manager, Jeff. So yeah, like the creme de la creme had some really business savvy people find them around that time, 2016, 2018.
Do you think you've pissed off people because you didn't take the offer?
Fuck, I lose sleep over it.
Really?
I certainly do. Yeah. You know, when everything's going well, you're like, I'm the king of the world. But when things are going bad, you start to go, why isn't this? What did I do wrong? And you can look into the past and try and analyze stuff. Like, you know, I made biographies during Me Too and Black Lives Matter and all these like scary times for people's
Sensitive times, yeah.
Yeah, no one wants bad press, right? So like, yeah, I lose sleep over like, should I have taken that deal? For sure. I always wonder.
Yeah, because Hollywood is like a clique from what I see.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it now. It's like, it's the boys club. And which is one good thing about social media and YouTube, because it disrupted that. Back in the day, it's like you have to win an Oscar to be part of this gang. But now it's like, if you're huge on YouTube, it's bigger than Oscars, I would say. You know, if like 10 million, 100 million people follow you, you're like super famous and you have the people's vote.
Power.
Yeah, so 3.6 million followers or subscribers is massive. That's like 3.6 million votes in your favor that, you know what, we're all watching you. We approve of your content and we want to tune in and watch some more.
You know, that's another thing is that I was getting a lot of hate from Hollywood. And like, you're seeing it on Twitter and you're seeing it in chats or in your comments. And you're like, I can't really figure out why. Like, I'm this nice, bubbly guy. Who did I burn a bridge with or whatever, right? So it's like, I take that deal, but then I would have had to have faced some realities that like in Canada I didn't have to deal with. Like, what if I go to a bar and Jeffree Star knocks me out and I'm on TMZ?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know. Well, you know what I mean? It was a big gamble. And I'll just be frank, like, I don't think the offer gave me the security to so I did.
That's interesting because the type of content you were making is also, you're talking about other celebrities. So you're bringing to the audience a version of the celebrity, saying before they were famous, they did this is who they were. So, and you have pretty big pull, like 3.6 million subscribers have access to that and are listening to what you have to say. So I think maybe Hollywood is like, they want to have a control over that.
Yeah, they want
and
to
if
have
you
control
don't,
over
for
their
sure.
story, and you're kind of giving the narrative their whole story.
Oh, and man, there's been some weird days in the kitchen. By that I mean like where I'm cooking, where I'm writing, right? But you know, you start noticing, like, I'll be like looking at old photos of, let's say, Black China, and as I'm sourcing them, they're like getting deleted off the Instagram. Like, they saw my business page follow, and then they're like, "Oh, we better clean this up."
Oh,
So like, I've seen some crazy stuff.
they probably have you flagged for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about some of the content or videos that got you in hot waters then.
No, I don't know. I got like a lot of copyright claims, which everything we make is fair use. But we're borrowing clips from not like their old Facebook posts, or, you know, we'll use B-roll that's from whatever, you know, a music video. Hopefully, ideally, it's all before footage, right? But, you know, like, I don't own all that. You want to make content that you own everything in the video. And stumbling upon the biography channel, I had to figure out how to do that with the new rules of the internet for this new era. Fair use exists. You're allowed to do all this stuff. But at the time, there was like, YouTube hadn't really like figured out how to protect creators with the fair use tools. Now there exists this like, oh, you get a copyright claim, you can just trim that part out like automatically. At the time, it didn't. If someone claims you, you'd have to take down the whole video, or you'd have to go into this weird little thing that was really glitchy, and half the time it didn't work. Take you several hours, so you just never bothered. So you'd either lose, someone wanted to sue you, you lose the video, or you fight them in court. So I got hit with like 300 while I was at an airport, and I did the math in like maybe 4 to 6 months. I lost $500,000 because all those videos were no longer growing on the channel.
Just took them down.
They basically said, if you want them back, you got to go to court.
Oh,
and it was over microscopic things. Like I would do a whole video, but in there was a 2-second Lil Jon going, what? But now Lil Jon owned this whole video on Justin Bieber, whatever. So now I got my whole, so you got my whole channel there is, it's getting 30 million views a month, but with 300 videos taking off, I'm only getting 10 million views.
Oh.
So YouTube's going, oh, he's not popular anymore. So then things start trending downwards.
Interesting. But you're saying this has changed since, where YouTube allows you to trim that part out,
Yeah.
but maintain the video on top. So can you repost all your videos back on your channel with those edits?
Yeah, well, now they're all fixed and corrected because that technology changed. But it was the algorithm that got hit hard, and the community and the hype. Like when every video you drop gets 1 million to 500,000, and then I go through that downward slope for 6 months, and then you really have to just start rebuilding. And it was just the momentum that had been taken away. So that was a real big death blow. And if it was 500,000 at one point, it's been 5 million now. It's it hurt.
So having more videos, does it help you make more money, or does it help you like get more attention on YouTube than having like just your first 100 videos on YouTube, would you say?
No, the more the merrier. It's always a drop in the bucket, because even last night or Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday. I look at my analytics. Video I made 3 years ago on someone streaking got like 10,000 views, because maybe the guy who did it was like, yo, remember when I did this? Or a news report talked about it. Whatever it was, that video is old, it grew, and I got probably 10,000 videos out there. So it's like little things catch little waves, and all of those videos continue to grow. I continue to make new content, but I'm also always like living off of content that I've made 10 years ago.
So creating content is like depositing into your own library with every video that you're creating.
Yeah.
So would you say like one video a day with YouTube, like one video a week? Like how many times should somebody be posting?
It depends what you're coming into it with. If you, like, I would say your YouTube's the toughest. It's your television show, and everything else is your kind of your commercial. Like I would put reels and shorts and TikToks, and then I put those everywhere and almost daily. But a one main show on YouTube that's 10 minutes or 8 minutes plus. Think of it as your TV show, and then everything else are like your octopus arms, bringing them back to that show. But some people just pick Instagram as their main platform, and that's their main show, and everything else is their tentacles, right? What's your main platform? For me, it's been YouTube, because historically it's paid. But like some kids out there just want to be famous. They're going to pick TikTok as their main platform.
Do you think that the Tate brothers like really altered and figured out the algorithm with other people like making fan pages posting their content? I don't know if you've seen it, but on Instagram and on TikTok, tons of these guys will post their videos for them.
Yeah.
Does that help your main account grow, you think, or is it just
they were rich, right? They could afford to handle they were rich, and they wanted notoriety. You can I don't know, getting fame. You can like sorry, hold on, give me a second. Let me catch my breath. Let's take a second.
How do you feel about the? Yeah, it's good.
I think it's good. I think we're getting into it all, but I'm not like exposing myself.
Yeah, that's fine. Anything you stumble on, we can always
cut out?
Yeah, don't worry.
I think we're okay.
So we were going into.
Oh, that's I can yeah. Your
So
question
Tate
was
brothers.
fine. I can talk about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and like we're always dealing with new technology, right? So they found a gap there. Maybe they were shadow banned or they were in trouble. So like, why not get others to speak on our behalf? Fast forward a year later, big brands are going to be doing the exact same thing.
I'm seeing it now with like the Outdoor Boys is like an outdoor YouTube channel with survival content, and there's all these little fan pages popping up because they have libraries of content. Like I'm wondering if it's almost happening with your page with people just kind of taking your videos, repurposing it into little clips and posting it on your without even asking you.
I've seen plenty of people using my clips as a source. That's also why I went really hard on the branding. Like I use those clouds everywhere for nearly a decade because at the end of the day, all you have is your brand. So I think people, and then it's also why I spoke the way I spoke, really iconically, to be like that guy. But you just hope for the best. I think YouTube does give you all these copyright claims. Like if someone takes most of my video, I could fight them for the money and the revenue.
Do you think that hits the algorithm and like lowers your algorithm score every time you do get a claim on your account? Like, do you think it makes you look bad in YouTube's eyes because you're breaking the
Well, there's
rules?
strikes, right? If you get those community violations or content claims. No, not what are the ones I can get you
Big
kicked
strikes.
off?
I got 3 strikes. I got a whole channel taken down at 90K.
Yeah.
A big channel.
That's
Yeah, he
another
was giving
thing.
away secrets though. That's the other thing.
So like I was teaching Grand Theft Auto like how to do money glitches and Rockstar Games all at once. 3 strikes, my channel was just gone.
Yeah.
And like we were fighting back and forth for like 2 months, got it back, got taken down again, but it was just random people flagging the videos as well.
Yeah, but Rockstar has a big pull too.
Yeah, so they sent us an email basically trying to get us to take down the channel, but then like the community afterwards was just flagging the hell out of the videos.
Yeah. Actually, when I went through that whole thing about getting all my videos claimed, remember I said I was working on this channel, I was doing this channel. This channel started giving me claims as well. They gave me 2, 3 would have been a death blow.
What?
So it's
One
like-
channel though, they could take down all of them.
Yeah.
That's what I learned the hard way. I had another channel with 10,000 subscribers with one video that had like almost 10 million views.
Yeah.
And when the main channel got taken down, that second channel just disappeared as well. And like that other channel was the one that was making me all the money. So it's kind of sucks. Like I know the pain of like getting strikes. Like,
Once-
you spend so much time building that.
One thing I'll say is that the wild west of like being an overnight viral star might seem like it's in the past, but they've cleaned up all of these glitches and all of these like troll farms and like negativity on Twitter. I don't really see it. Like it's become a much safer, happier, like you don't live in fear of like
Getting your channel
we
down.
both. Yeah, I feel like those days are behind us.
Yeah, because that's something that I wanted to talk about is a lot of people are great on camera. A lot of people have great things to say, whether it's in their niche or field or whatever, but they don't want to jump on content because they're afraid of what will people think and who are the haters? Are they going to come and hate on my channel, take me down, whatever the case? You have a content that's focused on other people. You're talking about celebrities. Some people may not like exactly what you said about them. So how do you deal with that kind of energy, constantly people monitoring and flagging you and trying to take you down, right?
Yeah, totally. There's been definitely a bunch of celebrities who have gone to their publicists and their agents and been like, yo, get this guy down.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, there's like people like, I didn't make it till this guy made that video on me. And like they're big dudes.
Yeah.
Off the top of my man is like Harry Jowsey from Too Hot to Handle and Corday, like big like people that are making $1 million a year and stuff, right? So like it was weird, but it was typically the people from the older side who are like, get this out of here. But the new generation effed with me. But yeah, then the comments can be super, super disheartening. Even my wife, I've spoken about this before, but like she's a beautiful girl. People were calling her tranny, be like, "Oh, Mcrudden got a tranny," like and she's like, "What is this stuff?" And we're like, it affects our.
Does it affect you personally in your mood? Like seeing things like that?
Dude, it was crazy. Like I feel like I had an anxiety attack and had to go to a hospital once.
Really?
Early on, like because you're getting like I think like I got a 10 million view video, but I probably got like 30,000 death threats.
Yeah.
So you're like and I'm not even like a monster. I'm like a news reporter.
Yeah, you know what? I would respond back to the hate comments and try to fight everyone. But then I realized, like, what's the point? You have to just let it go. And in your case, that's why I'm understanding you didn't go to Hollywood, because the death threats would be like at your door. But this is a great point to touch on, because the mindset of a creator is very important. Because when you first started versus your mindset today, it must be completely night and day.
Yeah.
You let it affect you, hate comments, the comments, you're trying to justify yourself. You're wondering, like, why am I getting this kind of hate? But it's everywhere. Like, look at Drake. He's like bigger than Michael Jackson at this point. He's outsold the Beatles, but still doesn't matter how well you do, how many subscribers you have, how many albums you've sold. There's still going to be, in fact, you get more hate because people just are jealous and envious. And in this competitive society, that's what it is, and like you just have to shrug it off
You have to.
until it gets to a point where it's death threats. I don't know how to handle those. I think that's pretty scary.
Look, if it ever, and I'm like I said, these things are some of the early stages of it. I feel like the platforms don't allow this stuff anymore. But like these people were sending me that, I would look at their profile photo and it'd be like a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Like with like a pet rat. And like another kid's like, got, Mom, watch me play softball. And I'm like, these kids are just like learning the internet.
Those kids are brutal. When I used to play video games,
Those are the Xbox. Yeah, they're literally.
man, they're tough on you, man.
Yeah.
Make me want to
Your
cry
mom
sometimes.
jokes and all that stuff. What about Taylor Swift? Does she scare you?
No, but Taylor Swift.
I feel like right now, like everything that's about her just gets taken down.
Oh, I wouldn't talk. I wouldn't talk about her. No. Yeah.
Really?
So it was weird, right? So when I blew up on YouTube and I had a bit of a foothold on who's popular and who's trending, I was like, the Kardashians own everything. And of course they all their fame was like the first people to monetize and monopolize the internet. Right. So I feel post-COVID, the powerful people are back in charge. They're figuring it out. And Taylor Swift's like the beginning of like the return to powers.
I want a piece
Yeah.
of this. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just how I kind of see things going.
Honestly, you're right with that. Like just some of the clips that are coming out, like the Celine Dion one. I don't know if you noticed that, but she just like totally avoids her. Like I don't even want to clip that video, honestly, because just anything probably will.
No, you're right. She's currently like the main puppet, I guess.
She's
I would
forced
say.
on us.
Yeah.
Like, and the NFL's in on it. Like, it's a whole.
They win the like. What's the? I don't
Yeah.
follow sports too much, but like, didn't her boyfriend's team like win the Super Bowl?
But not only that, but they said that her relationship with Travis created increased the value of the NFL by like $400 million, which is insane to have just, your name. And this is where I started to make content, because I heard of things like this. And back then when 50 Cent like bought vitamin water and then resold it to Coca-Cola, I realized the only thing he added to it was his name, which doesn't require any investment. He literally just bought it, said, "Hi, 50 Cent, I own this." And then
Waited a little bit and sold
brought
it.
some fame to it. Yeah. And so like, this is where I understood like fame is worth a lot more than any investment cash. So like, you want to get your name out there, you want to become famous, you want to be known, because then people want to use you to market their brand or their products or their services or advertise through you.
No,
right?
and even adding to that, like since I passed 1 million subscribers, like my life has changed incrementally. Like I never had to line up for a bar again. I never had like any introduction. I was a big deal to someone. And like being an actor who's not working, you're like the bottom of the totem pole in terms of like being a man. Like you're just like desperate for work. And then just bringing this new clout, vigor, excitement, new technology. Like I'm a big deal overnight. So like you have to put in the work to gain some followers and stuff, but typically they never disappear unless you're hacked or cyber bullied off the web. So you put something behind. You put like legitimize your name and your craft or your business, and it's like with you forever. These things aren't going away.
With the huge downfall of crypto, I see you got to like interview the crypto king. Like, how was sitting down with the
That was
crypto king,
amazing.
like hearing his story?
Yeah, that's another guy. Lots of parallels there. When he got going was around the time I got going, stumbling upon brand new, unmonitored technology that's got the ingredients and the formula to be the future. And like I look at crypto, when I made it, I was also in New York. I was on some boat outside the Statue of Liberty. I got invited to these crypto parties, and they're like, "Oh, what are you in, Ethereum and stuff?" I just make YouTube videos now. But it's the exact same like if you can actually graph YouTube's growth and Bitcoin's growth, they're on the same playing field.
Yeah.
And now look, it's been legit. It's been taken to court, villainized. They've arrested the bad ones, but I think it's the proven formula, the proven technology, and it's going to be the new currency. But like, see how the powerful had to take back control. And that's true, right? Like they can't let everyone get rich and famous. I think the whole world will turn into Dan Bilzerian or something. Yeah. So I get it. It's just, I think they needed COVID or something to kind of slow down the machine so they could catch up.
Let's go back to a little bit about your content and how you came up with your process. I remember when we first met months ago, I asked you about your daily routine, and it's a lot of work. People think making content, oh, these guys just made it on YouTube, making a few videos. It's not true. You're doing like 5 different jobs. So take us through a little bit about how your days would look when you were at the prime of your channel, pumping out content, because you got to stay on top of trends. And how do you pick who you're talking about? What is your routine? You wake up in the day, you're doing your research, like, and then you film. Like, give us a little bit about what it takes.
Yeah, so I'm definitely in like semi-retirement mode to when it was at its like craziest. But I at the time I was always managing like 3 or 4 employees, but at one point it was like 6, then a dozen. But yeah, we had a Spanish version of the show with a couple million subscribers. My wife's got a show. There's a small news show. So you're always glued to your phone finding the news story. And typically anything that's like Reba McEntire or even Katy Perry, like the solidified Hollywood stuff, not for us. We want Machine Gun Kelly or DJ Khaled. We want this new young cool
I was going to
stuff.
ask you about that. Like, how did you pick and choose? Like, because it doesn't seem like you go for the AAA celebrities. You want to go for something that's like upcoming, or what's the strategy with that?
Early on, I started catching the wave of like the rapper Stitches.
I remember him.
Gave me more views than like 50 Cent. So I was like, oh, one, there's a lot of search volume and there's a lot of keyword ranking, and there'll be more competition for 50 than this new guy who's doing everything. Tekashi, they're doing everything to stand out. They want this. So, but they don't have their own YouTube channel yet, or they haven't answered the question that I'm providing the answer to, because it's probably contrary to what they're trying to project. So anyway, once you catch an algorithm, you got to keep feeding it kind of what the subscribers and the algorithm wants. So it was just like, all right, there's a guy Stitches. Who's like him? Oh, he works for Whack 100. Then the Tekashi and him are kind of similar. So you kind of connect them all, and it creates like a chain of event. Hopefully the comments are telling you who to do, but then you're always just following that. And like, it'll take you to some weird places. You'll be like, all right, I'm back to a Michael Jordan. Oh, because of Larsa Pippen's dating his daughter. Like, they're all connected some way. Yeah. And you're just kind of stringing it all together. And then rarely, there was some days like Margot Robbie would blow up or whatever. But like, I tried to do like Tom Cruise videos. Gen Z did give an F.
Because the audience you built. And it's funny you say that, because this is a great lesson to the viewers. People think, oh, I don't know what they're trying to imagine all the content they're going to make once they have their channel. Start off with one niche, because you're right, it will lead to another. The comments, people telling you, oh, do this person next, and then or you'll see the connections, and one content will lead you to another content, and then eventually it kind of naturally, organically creates a niche for you. But then that could also be detrimental, because then it could take you down a path where you can't really reverse and then take a new path, because you may lose the current audience you've created.
Yeah.
So it answered one of my questions, because I looked at your thing and I'm like, you have a certain demographic of people that you cover. I wonder why you didn't go this route or that route. But it's making sense. What are your thoughts about YouTube and the different sub channels? Like, you know how Mr. Beast has a different he's got the sub channels underneath,
gaming, like things like that.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of expanding into?
No, yeah, buddy, I was there. I was doing it. Like I mentioned, there was a Spanish channel, there was my wife's channel, and then a news channel. They're all similarly titled. But money-wise, the Spanish channel never made a lot of money because people were watching in Mexico. My wife's channel did fairly well. The news channel, the videos are under 8 minutes or whatever. They never made a lot of money. And I tried like a science show and like a party show, and I was always trying to build that kind of network. But it's the ebbs and flows. This has always been a nice, reliable source of revenue and different platforms with this brand. But other brands just weren't as successful to like bolster. I kept hiring the people and spending it. And then, we'd go through a couple months, and then revenue dips in January and February. And it's like, guys, we gotta cut back and get back to what works.
So if you were to tell your younger Michael back in 2010 to 14 to restart from scratch, what would you do differently? Would you go into the same content that you did? Or what would you pick to, let's say a new viewer right now is watching and they're starting their YouTube channel. What are your top 3 type of content, would you say? I mean, it depends on the person too.
Yeah.
But if you were to do it again from scratch, what would be some of the content you'd start with?
Now with the technology and iPhones, start there. Like that's really
like tech reviews.
No, that's a great idea. I'll make that my third one. No, but your iPhone is like so good now. Like I have the 14, but if this had more storage, I could probably do half my shows on this. Like just do the news and put something behind. Like I still brought a lot of the like TV broadcast equipment and all that stuff with me. And I don't know if I spend more time filming than I should because I'm doing all these different camera, audio, lighting, whatever. I don't know if I need to do all that. You got to move fast.
Yeah.
So your phone is like your best friend, especially for short form content. 2, don't do brick and mortar. I rented a studio for 7 years and all that money could have went to my mortgage. So don't, pay someone else's rent. Do as much as you can yourself so you keep that money. And I think tech is the greatest niche because like me, I'm always looking for a new star. They always come, they always pop up, but there's only one Sydney Sweeney a year. There's about 10 new iPhones. There's 30 new cars. So tech is like the best niche because you're always inundated with new viral topics. Vision Pro.
Interesting.
Yeah, that takes
there's
us
lot
into
of
a
that.
good area. So CPMs, how do they differ with the different like niches of content?
Tell
do
people
they
what
differ?
CPM stands for.
So the cost per million on the view side of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. I don't know. I got like boxed into hip hop. Hip hop doesn't pay as well as football. Right.
I think business is like the highest.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with? Is it the demographic has more money?
It's what they want to
Advertisers.
run ads on.
Okay.
So yeah, CPM, the cost per million views. Is that what they break it down to?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can vary widely. Like my wife's channel is more, let's say, white Hollywood. It's everything, but it's kind of more like my wife's. She's not rough around the edges. She's a beautiful blonde, right? And then she's talking about, women's furniture and fashion and all these very clean, appropriate, advertiser-friendly things. So they're running Tide commercials on her, shampoo, car insurance, right? Me, on the other hand, I came into it a little earlier. I'm talking about 6ix9ine and Flava Flav or whatever. So I still got some of that baggage on my channel. That's what my channel's known for. So they're throwing against Beats headphones, like FUBU, and they're not, but like something like that, right? So, and that's not me controlling what is like that stuff's cool and popular, but it's not as advertiser friendly. So yeah, I would say the more business savvy, the more family friendly you are. Always, you're going to see more money. And like, yeah, you don't need to have a doctorate to realize like, oh, it might be cool to talk about porn stars. Well, no one's going to advertise, right? Like, so don't do it.
So wait, then I got to ask you, because this is actually a good question, because I always preach go after your passion, but how much of the advertiser revenue should influence the path you're taking with your content? Should you be conscious of that right off the bat? Or should you just go with your niche that you're passionate about, to talk about, to make content about, and then figure out how you can place it to get advertisers?
Depends on how old you are. Like if you're 25, your fame is probably worth more to you than ad revenue. Like the Nelk boys were not monetized, but they beat me to 5 million subs because the fame was so much more valuable. But they were like 7 years younger than me. They could wait that time. I needed income for my age and my professionalism. So it kept me running a business rather than pursuing fame. So I would say the answer to you is, what is your moral compass and what are your primary concerns? Yeah. And like if you're a business-minded person, you're not going to make stupid stuff.
That's a very good point. And Cam and I, everybody swears here and there in real life. When you get emotional, you get passionate. So there's a few guidelines we've placed for ourselves, like not swearing, because we want to appeal to the bigger, broader audience. Not talking about certain subjects. Like we talk about things that are kind of off limit unless you're really about that niche. And so it's very important that when you're starting your channel, your content, you don't straight jump into that unless, like you said, you're young and you don't care and you want to use that shock value to create your channel and get the audience. So that's a good point.
Yeah. But it's tough, right? I'm always keeping an eye on like the new creators and what's popping and stuff. The kids that are trying to be the next Vitaly are getting arrested before they're getting famous.
Yeah.
So I think the world's also changed. You can't really push the limits too far anymore. So yeah.
It's interesting. I'm gonna pause actually quickly. I just want to check the battery life. I want to quickly go into like.
Did I go too far with the conspiracy theories?
No.
Okay. I thought the Taylor Swift.
I'm trying to be more
great.
mindful of
You're
you.
great.
Yeah, thanks.
Is this light?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was super light. Yeah. You see through almost.
I got one of those. Yeah. I love them because you can wear them everywhere and they're like.
Yeah. I have a bunch of this. And actually, the funny part is the guy who sells me this at Suit Supply, he's exactly my size. Exactly. And they sell them off like cheap, all the brand new stuff. So recently he called me. He's like, come and take my whole last like 12 different suits. He's like, I'll charge you $500 to take them all. I'm like, fuck, I'm there. Like rushed over. Yeah. Anyways,
amazing.
we're good.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
good.
you always gotta look the part.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
So with Vitaly, have you noticed that he's coming back? Like, do you think there's going to be a huge wave of like older, more successful YouTubers coming back, but following these newer trends? Like they're all live streaming now. I don't know if you've noticed that, but like day in the life live streaming, like I see a huge trend with that.
Yeah, I don't know who's left to come back. We saw Fuzi and the Vitaly. I'm like, I feel like the ones that can't come back are in jail. Omni and a Hellcat. I feel like I kind of went through like all the like cool guys in the business, and if they haven't come back yet, like Russian hacker from years and years ago, he just doesn't want to come back. Roman Atwood, he's a podcaster.
True.
I feel like everyone who needs to come back has come back. If anyone, it's going to be me. I'll have to
for
go to
sure.
LA and do the real life, the streaming interviews and face the people that don't like me. I don't know. But I feel like everyone's done what they needed to do.
Yeah, I think there's a move there with all the podcasts coming, like the Nelk podcast. You'd be like the perfect person to do a podcast
you'd be a great
because you're,
host.
because you're a host.
I want to be a late night host.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do it independently. I don't want to operate without a lawyer. I don't want to operate without an operations producer manager because I've done it all. And just crafting the show to be something special would be where I'd want to put my time and energy to the creative stuff. But yeah, like I'm hoping, these Prime, Amazon, IMDb is a website I love. Like these platforms are becoming the new networks, and I'm hoping I can get a late night show on one of these. I'm manifesting
That'd
it.
be wicked, actually. I never even thought of that. Like, there's no late night shows just on Netflix or just on Prime.
I
think
could
that's a
totally
new-
see you like from consuming your content and the way you're spoken, the knowledge you have on like the kind of trending topics. I think you would make a great host, a late night host.
I can't do Jimmy Fallon, who's at 50 or whatever he is, singing and dancing every night. I was an Irish dancer at one point, but I can't do that. I would be more like Jimmy Kimmel, who just puts on his suit, tells a few jokes, does the headlines, and does a good interview.
Who's your favorite podcaster right now, or favorite podcast?
I never got in, and that was another thing when I was brought out to LA. They were like, "You got to get into podcast," and I was like, "That's the complete opposite of what I do. What I do is give you a 10-minute version of who someone is, so you don't have to sit through a 2-hour podcast." And another thing, I went to film school and thing. I love visuals. I love graphics. I loved hosting. Podcasts are not that, right? It's like I didn't want to be a radio host. It just wasn't my art form. So I never really got into podcast because I'm a bit of a workhorse. I always had a 9 to 5 and not much of a commute. So there wasn't tons of time until I got the house and I'm gardening. I started listening to the big dogs, the Joe Rogan, the CEO. And now I'm starting to dabble. I love alien conspiracies and stuff. But
It's not conspiracy anymore. They came out with it.
yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
It's crazy. It didn't have the attention that it needed, like that you'd expect it to kind of have, like with it all. What do you think of that with all of the content right now on YouTube? Do you think it's like more of a cover up to pull attention off of the news with the conspiracy content?
No, I'm not following.
Do you think it's
Say it
real?
again? What do you
so
mean?
basically, there's a lot of conspiracy content being pushed on like TikTok and Instagram now. Do you
TikTok
think it's more so to cover up like what's happening in the?
I think
world?
if you really, I think because TikTok's China owned, they basically they're like, we're not going to pay you, but we'll let you all be famous, right?
Yeah.
And they're pumping the stupidest creators to the top. Our kids dancing, but back in China, it's like science experiments, right? We've all heard that. But I think because it's Chinese owned, like YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, they really want to get rid of the outsider, and they're just going to villainize, ban, and try and get rid of TikTok as long as it's around because he's a foreigner coming in for the advertising dollars.
You know, I think you touched on something very important, because the whole alien conspiracy was conspiracy until recent times, because now everyone's come out with it. The Pentagon, blah, 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 saying we've confirmed, we have these files, we have these images. It's probably a topic, a niche that will have a lot more content about over the next decade. And we're probably going to see more of it. And we need someone to be covering some of that content. So like, it's not a bad idea to get into, maybe for the viewers, maybe something that if you're interested in it, I think that's something.
I think it's another untouchable on the advertising field side of things, because it's like stoners sitting there binging this content, or like just the demographic of people consuming that content. I don't think is as advertisable.
Well, it's a great place to advertise for Cheetos and
yeah,
you know,
things
pop
like that,
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Like, I love what you're doing because no one's, except maybe your competitors, but you're not going to really rub anyone the wrong way, I don't think. But yeah, that's why I say, like, being a late night host, I'd rather work for the big dogs after having done a $1 billion+ career, because I don't know if you're going to get in trouble talking about aliens sometimes. Like, who's covering this up, and what's free journalism, independent journalism, is it allowed?
It doesn't exist anymore.
Can I talk shit about Biden? I don't know.
I think everybody does talk shit about Biden, but it's like, it's old news now.
Do you think that when do you think the first YouTube president's gonna happen? Like, think of the power with the voters and the local audience.
Governor. I don't know about president.
You don't think so? Like a Mr. Beast with 100 million subscribers, if he made it a video about becoming president, I think he'd be able to push himself to that point and get it.
Oh, he could certainly control the vote and get it.
What's gonna push back there?
Then the country is completely capitalist consumerism, commodification, no actual governance. Like, it's just like a move.
Well, we're kind of in that direction, and the U.S. I feel like is going in that direction. So it wouldn't surprise me if that. I mean, look when Arnold became governor, right?
So Logan Paul could pull that off.
He could probably pull that off. Yeah.
I hope there's still politicians that are, I don't know.
It's pretty interesting though, because the most influential politician is pretty good at business as well. Like Donald Trump, like he was the OG influencer. Like he leveraged all the newspapers to get pretty famous before social media.
Yeah.
Then got big on social media, and then he became a president. So it's like, I think you need that business side of things that a lot of YouTubers don't have, but I think we'll definitely see it.
What's also crazy is the fact that now you're teaching. Is it social media or YouTube in particular?
Social media, online entrepreneurship, performance, few different things.
Yeah, like 10 years ago, you didn't have that in the university level, right?
Dude, I remember trying to get a book on like what is YouTube, and there was nothing. Until 2019-20.
Because it didn't have that kind of money behind it. Now it's
Didn't
like
have the attention.
massive. Yeah, it's like the billions and billions of dollars. Like, it's huge.
It is crazy to me how long this opportunity was slept on. I thought, oh my God, I'm 3 years ahead. It was 5 years. And then it took a pandemic for people to start taking it serious. It's a digital revolution. We're going to be, I think I got in for the 2015 to pandemic was the gold rush. And now it's just a way of life. And sure, you might not hit the lottery and make millions, but every mom out there that wants to make a babysitting channel or dog walkers who want to live stream, there's plenty of opportunities to make $100,000.
Yeah.
And there's more opportunities doing it this way than there ever was. Oh, I'm just a librarian. No, now I'm a book reviewer and I make more money from my home.
I didn't look at the stats of like how many creators are actually creating YouTube content, let's say, but I know it's probably like tripled or quadrupled or maybe even tenfold since like 10 years ago. And where do you think that's all headed? Like, is everyone going to have a channel in the near future where like, if you don't have a channel, you don't exist because everyone's interacting with Vision Pro and doing this all the time? You know, like where is it really going?
It is scary. I do wonder.
Yeah. Right.
I do wonder. I know kids, like kids are like, I don't want to work. People, until they start raising the average job to like a breathable, respectable, like when I came out of school, I was like, all right, I'm going to try and join the real world. Well, the real world was like $30K. And I'm like, okay, so I'm like, that's not going to do nothing. Like, it just gets me to work and home. So you're like, then I'm like, okay, then I'll just chase my dreams. And until there's some real like reasons to like, all right, I want to have a professional career because I can make a professional dollar. Capitalism needs to start putting out some opportunities, or else everyone's just gonna say, fuck it, I'll be a streamer. Why not? If you're, I'd rather chase the
It
millions.
becomes a little bit easier though for the people who do understand it, because I think like 90% of people want it, but once they see the work that's involved with it, won't go after it. But I think all of that opportunity will give opportunity for the people who can actually chase it, but don't have access to opportunities like that right now.
Well, what I'm seeing now is that I think it's actually the future for everybody. Everyone's going to have a channel, and that's how we're going to be interacting. It's almost like a Facebook page or like an Instagram account. Like if you don't have one, you don't really exist. You might exist to the 3-4 people that are around you physically. But what's also really interesting is that I used to think that all these kids who are starting off and there's iPhones in their faces from the day they were born, I thought they would all be making content. But looking back at some of the Gen Zs and asking them like, hey, you're not on social media, you're not making content. They're very reserved. And I'm realizing like, no, maybe that's not true. Making content is still not for the younger generations, for every single one of them. Like you need a certain persona to get on there and be comfortable. And it takes time to get comfortable. Like I used to like stutter on camera. I used to sit there, sweat, and like trying to get through one script, and like I couldn't. And it took years and years of like not giving up on that to get to this point. And that's what you got to do, though.
I'm like Simon Cowell for finding talent. You, sir, are jam-packed with talent. You're
Really?
very, very talented.
Let's cut this into a reel, put it at the top, pin it.
Very charismatic. Yeah.
This is my before they were famous. Hi. You're going to do an episode on me.
What about your kids on a family channel? Have you thought of that?
We thought about that, but I'm kind of afraid of putting my family out there because I'll be relying on them. And as they get older, it'll be like, Dad, leave me alone. I don't want to do this anymore. My oldest one wants to do it because he sees me. He saw Cam one day at my house. We shot a little skit, and he was so intrigued with Cam. He's like, I want to be Cam. And I'm like, what do you want to be Cam? He's like, whatever Cam does. I'm like, he's a videographer / media guy, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a YouTuber. So he's an older guy, but he likes YouTube, and I control what they watch on YouTube, because if you know YouTube, they'll start watching a wholesome video, and then you look away, you look back, and all of a sudden it's like some crazy animated cartoon made in India that's like Elsa doing some crazy things, and you're like, whoa, where the hell did this go? And and so
there's some interesting content though. Like my 3.5-year-old son will sit and watch like kids playing with trains. So like how kids watched gaming videos, he's now doing with like wooden toy train tracks. Like there's channels with 500K at 1 million subscribers just around wooden train tracks and Lego building and just different things that are amazing for affiliate marketing.
Wow.
When you think about it,
it's totally the precursor to Meta. Like, why is he can probably move the trains in a couple of years.
So before we wrap this episode up, are there future plans for Michael? Where are you going with this? Your studio is very well decorated. You've got your golden button. You've got the silver ones. You've got, I guess those are all progressions of like how you got here. Where do you want to be? You want to just continue with the teaching, the professor, the college stuff? Or do you have any more content ideas? I feel like I've seen people that are like 70 years old start making content and they just blow up out of nowhere. There's a guy on TikTok who like just dances on live, and he's like, I think he's 80 and he's just barely moving. And I click on his live. He's got like 8,000 people watching live and sending him gifts. Yeah. And he's making like probably $7,000.
Some of these grandmas that are like on their deathbed are like, look at me, I'm going for a date. Like, and it's like, I'm calling Edward. It's like this 85-year-old man. And like, he has no idea what's happening, but they record all this. And it's like,
and there's absolutely no age to content. There's no progressive line. Like you can't say it takes you 5 years to get to this kind of monetization. I've seen people come into it, blow up, like, that Walmart lady.
Yeah.
I still don't know who the hell that is. Gail. Yeah. I still don't understand the content, but she's everywhere. Like Gail, and she's making skits now, and people are just like giving her so many
Walmart after like 10 years. I don't know if it was for content marketing, but
I saw her.
Yeah. So
Gail Lewis.
Yeah. Listen, it depends on the day. There's days I wake up and I'm like, I'm going to do a video series where I show them how I pay off this house in 6 months. And then I'm like, all right, what am I going to do for this? I'm like, oh, do I want to hustle that hard for 6 months? Probably be a good idea. But then there's other days where I'm like, I wish I never had to make another video, right? It depends. I'm fortunate enough that I'm in a position that like, I don't have to grind it out. Like I don't have to do the start from scratch thing. I've got all these built up shows and they still, I'm not like going viral every week, but I'm still making money every day.
There's a snowball that just keeps on rolling because the content's out there already.
So I got to just kind of, I took some time to just fix my own myself up and readjust to like, you know, marriage and suburbia and like looking back at like, okay, I wanted to be famous. I wanted to get Jim Carrey's attention. I wanted to make a couple mil or whatever. So like I did all this stuff. So I'm just kind of like, we're trying to have a kid and I got that new gig and I'm just adjusting to like not fighting for my life. And that is what I did for almost a decade. Like I woke up hungry and like, I'm not gonna miss this opportunity. And I got what I wanted from it. You know, maybe I'd love the Jimmy Kimmel job, but I'm so would a lot of people. So that's, you know, I'm manifesting it, but let's hope.
Hey, there's millions of people that would wish to be in your position, and you're the one who got there. So Jimmy Kimmel, I don't think is a far reach for you. I think you're talented and you've got the ability to get there. What I think from what I see you, because you're super humble, the few times that I've met you, you're like not a guy who would pretend, or you know, you're not pretentious. You're not a guy who would be boasting all this subscriber base. But I think you know, I think what you should probably be, it's the blessing in disguise. It's a blessing and a curse, the fact that you've already reached these goals, because now you're not as hungry as you used to be. And that hunger is what you need back, right? So maybe you need a kick. Maybe you need to, you know, God forbid, lose this house or something and then put you back into that crazy mode. And I think you'd make it as Jimmy Kimmel.
Wow.
Maybe bigger.
Oh, totally. I think that drive and the energies, it's like once you're comfortable, that's the danger zone. Like you have to push
We've
through
all been
that.
there, yeah.
Okay, I took it too far though that I worked myself into crazy. So anyway, I'm taking the breather, but I do appreciate the vote of confidence and the kind words. And I am a hustler, right? Like you're not going to pull this stuff off. And yeah, I guess it's been a lifelong goal. And you're saying, oh, I see it too. So I'm sure I'll probably keep pushing.
Great, man. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. This was fantastic. We hope to see you. The next time we see you, we're going to be on your bigger show, late night.
Yeah, man.
Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you, bro. Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Oh,
There we go. Get it in there. Yeah.